Birthdays used to be magical in our family. Balloons, cake, candles, little moments stitched into memory. So when my granddaughter turned 18, I wrapped a small box with a bow, smiling as I imagined her face. It wasn't flashy. No shiny gadgets, no expensive perfume, just a simple card tucked inside with something folded between the paper. But when she tore the wrapping open and saw the plain gift, her smile faded. In front of everyone, she tossed it straight into the trash. What she didn't realize was that inside that card rested a $5,000 check. The day had begun with so much promise. My daughter decorated the living room with streamers, the table piled high with food. Relatives laughed, snapping photos, singing along to the music. I arrived with my small box, tied with a ribbon. I'd spent the morning writing the card carefully, my handwriting neat, my words chosen with love. And tucked inside, folded discreetly, was a check, $5,000. My savings, my way of helping my granddaughter step into adulthood with something more than just cake and candles. When it came time for gifts, her friends handed her fancy bags, designer lotions, trendy clothes, gadgets wrapped in glittering paper. The room buzzed with excitement as she tore through each one, squealing with delight. Then my turn came. She took my box, her smile already dimming at the sight of something so small, so plain. She ripped off the paper quickly, almost carelessly. Inside was the card, cream-colored, no sparkle, no frills. She opened it, glanced at the words, and without reading aloud, rolled her eyes. Then came the moment that pierced me. She stood, walked across the room, and tossed my gift straight into the trash bin. Laughter erupted from her friends. Even some relatives chuckled awkwardly. "Guess that wasn't her style," someone muttered. My chest tightened, heat rushing to my face. I forced a thin smile, my hands folded in my lap, though my heart throbbed. I had imagined her hugging me, thanking me, her eyes wide when she saw the check. Instead, I sat, frozen, watching my gift sink beneath crumpled wrapping paper and empty plates. She never even looked inside. And in that silence, as humiliation washed over me, I realized something. She thought she had discarded a worthless card, but she had just thrown away the most valuable gift of the night. The party carried on as if nothing had happened. Music played, plates clattered, glasses clinked. My granddaughter sat proudly in her new jacket, showing off trinkets from her friends. Laughter circled the room, but I barely heard it. I sat quietly in the corner, hands folded tightly, staring at the trash bin across the room. My card peeked out from under a pile of shiny paper, its cream-colored edge still visible. I felt like I was sitting there too, discarded, overlooked. No one said anything. My daughter glanced my way once, her smile strained, but she didn't speak up. Perhaps she thought silence would smooth the sting, but silence only deepened it. I thought about retrieving the gift, slipping it back into my purse, but pride held me still. If she couldn't see value in a grandmother's gift, I would not beg her to. An hour later, as the cake was being cut, the pile of trash grew. Someone tossed a soda can into the bin, and it landed with a clatter against my card. The edge of the envelope bent, but the check inside remained untouched, waiting. It was almost poetic. The most valuable thing in the room buried beneath what everyone else dismissed as waste. And then it happened. My granddaughter's friend, reaching for another slice of cake, accidentally bumped the trash bin. It tipped slightly, spilling a few wrappers onto the floor. Among them slid my card. My granddaughter noticed. She bent down, annoyed, and scooped it up, ready to shove it back into the bin. But this time the envelope flapped open. Something slipped out and fluttered to the floor. A rectangle of pale blue paper. She froze. Her eyes widened as she picked it up, reading the numbers printed neatly across the top. 5,000? She whispered, voice cracking. The room hushed. Heads turned. Conversations stilled. She stared at the check, then at me. Her face flushed crimson, her lips parted, but no words came out. I sat quietly, meeting her gaze with calm, steady eyes. My heart no longer pounded with humiliation. Instead, it beat with something stronger, vindication. Because in that moment, she realized what she had thrown away. Not just money, respect. The silence in the room was almost painful. Music still played faintly in the background, but no one was laughing now. All eyes were fixed on my granddaughter, standing frozen with the check in her hand. Her friends whispered, their giggles gone. Relatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The color drained from her face as reality sank in. She had tossed away the most valuable gift of the night. Finally, she stammered, "Grandma, I didn't know." I remained seated, my back straight, my hands folded calmly in my lap. My voice, when it came, was soft but steady. "That's the point, sweetheart. You didn't know because you didn't care to look." Her cheeks burned. She clutched the check tighter, eyes flicking to her mother, searching for help. But my daughter said nothing. She too seemed stunned into silence. The weight of the moment pressed on everyone. No one dared to excuse her behavior. No one chuckled to lighten the mood. For once, the spotlight was squarely on the truth. I stood slowly, walking toward her. My footsteps echoed louder than the music. I took the card from the floor, tucking the check back into it, carefully. Then I placed it back in her hands. This was never about money, I said, meeting her eyes. It was about thought, about love, about respect. $5,000 is just paper. What matters is whether you value the person who gave it. Her lips trembled, tears pooled, though she fought to hold them back. "I'm sorry, Grandma. I didn't mean—" I raised a hand gently, stopping her. "Intentions don't erase actions. Next time, look deeper before you dismiss someone's gift, or their worth." The words hung heavy, sinking into the room like stones in water. My granddaughter nodded, her face wet now, her friends awkwardly avoiding her gaze. The laughter of earlier had vanished, replaced by a silence that carried more meaning than any speech could. I turned back to my seat, not triumphant, not smug, just calm. Because sometimes dignity isn't defended with shouting. Sometimes it's defended by letting the truth reveal itself. And tonight, it had. The rest of the evening felt different. Conversations resumed slowly, but the air carried a heaviness, a quiet reminder of what had just unfolded. My granddaughter sat silently, her usual sparkle gone, the card resting carefully on her lap as though it might shatter if she moved too quickly. Relatives who had chuckled earlier now avoided my eyes, shame softening their expressions. A cousin leaned across the table, whispering, "I can't believe she tossed it like that." Another nodded, adding, "She'll never forget this." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The lesson was no longer mine to teach. It had already been delivered. Later, when cake was served, my granddaughter approached timidly, her steps hesitant. She slid into the chair beside me, her voice barely above a whisper. "Grandma, I'm sorry." I was shallow. "I didn't even read your card." I turned, studying her face. The bravado of youth was gone. In its place was something raw. Humility. "Do you understand now?" I asked gently. She nodded quickly, clutching the card. "It wasn't just the money. It was the way I treated you. I embarrassed you in front of everyone. I'll never do that again." Her sincerity reached me, softening the ache in my chest. I laid a hand over hers. That's all I needed to hear. Just remember, true value isn't always wrapped in glitter or shine. Sometimes it looks plain, but it carries the deepest worth. Tears glistened in her eyes. She hugged me tightly, and for the first time all night I felt warmth return. Around us, relatives watched silently, some nodding, others dabbing their eyes. The moment was bigger than a gift. It was a reminder to them all that respect and gratitude should never be taken lightly. By the time I left that evening, the whispers had changed, no longer mocking, but admiring. She handled it with such grace. She didn't even raise her voice. And my granddaughter? She walked me to the door, card pressed to her chest, promising, "Next time, I'll be better." You'll see I believed her. Because some lessons once learned etched themselves too deeply to be forgotten. Weeks passed after that Easter birthday. The sting of humiliation faded, replaced by something unexpected, change. My granddaughter began calling me more often. At first, it was little things. "How was your day, Grandma?" Or "Do you need anything from the store?" But soon the calls grew longer. She asked about my childhood, my marriage, how I managed to save money when times were hard. She was finally listening. One Saturday, she showed up at my door with a basket of groceries. "I wanted to cook for you," she said shyly. Together we prepared dinner, her hands clumsy with the knife, but her laughter genuine. When we sat down to eat, she slid the check across the table. "I don't deserve this," she said softly. "Not after how I acted." I pushed it back toward her. "It was never about deserving. It was about giving you a chance to grow." "Now I see you're taking it." She wiped a tear and hugged me. That hug felt different from all the quick, distracted ones before. This one carried weight. At the next family gathering, she surprised me again. Before opening any gifts, she stood up and said, "I want to thank my grandma first." I was foolish before, but she showed me what true generosity looks like. The room applauded, some smiling knowingly. My heart swelled, not from pride in the money I gave, but from the growth I witnessed in her. From that day on, she became more thoughtful. She visited more, helped with errands, even asked me to teach her how to budget. It wasn't about the $5,000 anymore. It was about a lesson that reshaped her view of family, respect, and gratitude. For me, the check was just paper. The real gift was seeing my granddaughter learn to value more than appearances, to look deeper before dismissing what seemed simple. And though the memory of her tossing my gift into the trash will never leave me, neither will the memory of her clutching it to her chest afterward, her eyes wide with realization. Sometimes lessons hide in plain envelopes, and sometimes it takes a mistake to uncover their worth. In the end, it wasn't about the $5,000. Money can be spent, lost, or saved. But the lesson that night became priceless. My granddaughter learned that true value isn't always wrapped in glitter or glam. Sometimes it comes in a plain envelope, carrying more love than gold. I didn't need to raise my voice or shame her. Life did the teaching for me. And in that quiet, humbling moment, she grew. Not just older, but wiser. Now when she hugs me, I feel the weight of gratitude instead of indifference. And that is worth more than any check I could ever write. So tell me, have you ever had someone dismiss your kindness, only to realize later what it truly meant? Share your story in the comments, and join me for more tales where respect outshines pride.